Well, good evening, everyone, and here we are, another edition of the Rumble Mumble, and tonight we're coming from Hoagland, Indiana.
Yeah, and each week we're getting closer and closer to the Rumble in Fort Wayne, presented by Jason Dietz Trailer Sales, and the excitement's growing.
Yeah, we're actually tonight 56 days away from moving into the Coliseum for the move-in and the always exciting optional practice that night on Thursday, That would be December 16th.
December 16th, and then 2 straight days of racing, December 17th and 18th, with a whole lineup of racing from midgets, wing 600s, non-wing 600, go-karts, quarter midgets, and the newly announced wedge karts.
Right, and it'd be a great time now to thank some of our new sponsors for the winged 600. It's going to be North Baltimore Custom Cuts. For the non-winged 600s, it's going to be Liuna. And then for the wedge carts, averageautosales.com.
And then we have another cool sponsor that we just announced, American Landmasters, coming back on board to be our official UTV of the Rumble in Fort Wayne, and we'll be seeing them push off some midgets there again this year.
Yeah, we really want to thank them. They're from nearby Columbia City, and they are very American-oriented type company, and having them out there instead of the people in the pit bleachers are going to like it, because now we won't have the Suburban and the Cadillac and everything there blocking the view. We just got the UTVs, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, and we had a full week of announcements this week and even some last week. But I think we have another cool announcement that we're ready to break tonight.
Yeah, finally we can announce about the ticket sales. At long last, everything has been worked out with the Coliseum. Before we go into the pricing and everything, we do want to make mention that we've changed, I hate the word change, we've altered the reserved seating area. Before, it was always that one huge section along what is now the backstretch. And so what we've done this year, it's going to be the top 6 rows all the way around in all of the spectator areas. That's going to be the reserved seating both Friday and Saturday. Tickets this year, the reserved seating is $25 for adults. That's ages 13 and up. And general admission will be $22. And then for children 2 to 12, reserved seats are going to be $15 or $12 general admission. And you can get those through any Ticketmaster location or at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum box office during their normal business hours.
Yep. And if you're planning on making a weekend of it and looking for a place to stay, we have 2 hotel offerings, special racers rate. The Sonesta Select, formerly the Hyatt Place, which is $75 per night, and includes breakfast each morning, while the Holiday Inn Purdue Fort Wayne across the street from the Coliseum is $95 per night. I understand the room blocks are filling up pretty quick, Larry.
Yeah, they're filling up very quickly, but we want to remind everybody that get on it now. Go to our website under the Racer Rate Hotels link. There's a direct link. You just click on it. It takes you right to the reservation form. And actually, our block at the Holiday Inn is just about full. So we encourage you to do that quickly. But then again, the Sonesta Select, a fantastic hotel with a great breakfast every morning. So check that out. And then speaking of the Racer Rate Hotel, everybody likes something free. And there's a great way to get a free stay.
Yeah, exactly. Just a couple nights ago, we had the Racing to the Rumble series again. They were at the virtual Eldora Speedway, and we have one more chance to do this, one more chance to enter. All you have to do is tune into the last broadcast of the Racing to the Rumble series, like, comment, and share the broadcast, and you get a 2-night stay at the Holiday Inn,
Purdue,
2 free tickets to Rumble, and
each night,
and Fatheads Hour swag.
Right, so about a $300 package. And so your last chance is going to be November 16th, the Racing to the Rumble by Fatheads Eyewear. That's coming from virtual Lernerville Speedway. And then that Thursday, November 18th, we will draw the lucky winner. So we're really looking forward to that. And you can always keep up with us on all of our social media.
Exactly. Like we said, we're only 56 days away. We had tons of announcements this week. We're going to have tons more leading up to it. So really be sure to like us, comment, share, and just stay up to date on our social media channels, and we'll keep bringing the news to you.
All right, well, we've paid all the bills now with all the advertising, so we're going to go into our special guests now. As we said, we're from Hoagland, Indiana, and an interesting story here. We'd like to introduce to our crowd here right now Cory and Shawn Bonar. We want to thank Cory, who's had 22 Rumble and Fort Wayne appearances with 14 feature starts, 1 top 5, second in 2015, 8 top 10s, 3 heat race wins, and 2 B main wins. And then Shawn, talking to you earlier tonight, we understand you've also been in the Rumble. But first, Cory, we understand that you're not going to be driving in the Rumble this year.
Yeah, I had a medical condition I was diagnosed with at the beginning of the year that has kept me from being behind the steering wheel in anything this summer. So this year we're going to have my brother in the car, prep it all up for him, and I get to play crew chief for it. So,
what's that going to be like?
It's been rough. I've been helping Tom Brewer on his sprint car, Jerry Coons Jr. driving it, and it's different.
I see.
I have learned a little bit, so hopefully we give Shawn a better car than what I've had in the past.
So Shawn, you're taking over for Cory this year. What's that going to be like?
I had an experience in that car a couple years ago on a Friday night, and it was one of the best cars I've ever driven. So I'm really excited about getting back in it.
Very cool.
And Cory, as we were getting ready to tape this tonight, you made a comment. I'm leaving my helmet at home. Do you think the temptation is going to be too strong?
Well, the experience he had in it, I had injured my hand where my wrist couldn't hold the steering wheel, and I went through Dr. Dave, Physical Medicine Consultants, is one of our sponsors. He went through some very it was a laser type treatment trying to rebuild the tendons and the muscles and so forth in there that were damaged, and Shawn was my backup driver for it. Well, I tried to get in the car and drive it. The hand, I just couldn't. It's too much in the Rumble. So I feel like I kind of stole that opportunity from him. This one, the helmet's staying at home. If I took my helmet, wife would probably kick my butt. So helmet staying at home, and he's going to get the full opportunity Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
So Shawn, you've got some mighty big shoes to fill.
I do, but it's a great car, and with Cory's mind behind it and what he's put into it over the years and the time he's put into it, I think it's going to be a great car, and I just got to do my part.
All right.
So you were a backup driver, a couple years ago, but now you're the big man, you're the starter. What are your expectations going into this year?
We're going to win the race.
All right.
I told him he needs to start doing his push-ups and get on the treadmill. It's the most physical race of any class of car.
Yeah.
I don't have power steering in my Munchkin. So.
Oh no.
Well, I drove an Edmunds, and that was real hard. That was a year or two before I drove the Munchkin.
Yeah, the 76 car.
And
we have to ask. You're going like 8 seconds around this 1/6 mile oval inside the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum, the Expo Center.
I don't think it's that big.
You don't?
I don't feel that big.
Well, now that you're not driving, you can take the tape measure out and get us the exact length. But tell us about that 8 seconds. I mean, what's the reaction? Or take us a lap around that track.
You can't get too aggressive with it. A couple years ago, I about spun the car out in the first qualifying lap. Second lap come around, I just want to be smooth. I come in the pits and all these guys are in there telling me we're number one. We set fast time that night, and you just got to be smooth and roll on, roll off the throttle. Racing conditions are a little bit different, of course, but as far as just making the 8 seconds or getting less than 8 seconds, it's about rolling through it smoothly.
And I love how you just casually talk about that. It's with how much it rubbers up. I mean, you're racing a midget inside of a building, and you're like, well, just you just have to be smooth. Which, I mean, you say it casually, but I feel like it's a lot harder said than done.
If you're smooth, you're not spinning the car out, and I just wanted to get one decent lap under me. I didn't expect it to be a quick time.
that same experience with me when I was out there on my first qualifying lap ever in the car, I spun out, and and it happened so fast that I thought I had control, and it was there, and then it's gone. And then I go around, I'm like, I got to just do a smooth lap, just like Cory described. I went around and thought I was going to be the slowest car in the field just not to spin out again. Because when you spin out, the whole place is dead silent, the car's dead, and you're like...
And everybody's looking at
Everybody's looking at me. But then we ended up coming back, and I thought I had the slowest lap. We come back 6th. So
awesome.
I was kind of excited about that.
Let me break the news to you that... the pressure's not going to be on you on that one lap with everybody looking at you, because we're going to go to the use of transponders this year, and instead of single lap qualifying, all of the hot lap sessions are going to be timed, and the fastest lap that you turn in through all of the hot lap sessions is going to be your qualifying time. Nice. So there's some guys that excel in qualifying, and then there's other guys that when they're like physically racing against another car, they actually go faster. So it's going to be a unique approach.
Yeah. Does that limit the number of cars on track at one time then to keep from bunching?
Yes, yeah. We're looking at probably no more than 4, maybe 5 at a time, just depending on the field. And that reminds me, the entries are out. They're available on the website. So go to rumbleandfortwayne.com, get your entry in, because the parking at the Coliseum has gone from $6 to $8 due to all of their expenses from the pandemic. And, the early entries get a free parking spot. So just wanted to throw that in there also.
So with the new format, do you think that puts you guys ahead of the game, or?
I don't know. It's different. I see how it can speed the show up, and that can be a very helpful thing. Part of what he was talking about with spinning out is, it's different. You discussed it, rubbering up. You have to keep the tires in that rubber, and unlike our normal asphalt racing, where you can maybe step it out another half a lane and then pull through the corner a little different to get that better angle or straighten out the corner, that doesn't work at the Rumble. You've got to stay on the rubber, even if the rubber's on the low side, around the corner or high side around the corner. That's the fastest place, and if you just get that much off of it, that car will whip around.
And the rubber changes.
Yes, it'll peel up
from
in some
one
places.
session to the next. It's like you almost have to have somebody on the crew with a constant eye out there looking at the racetrack.
Yeah.
How much, during a typical Rumble midget feature, how much does it change, from like the first part of the feature to the last part of the feature?
That's hard to say because you're in so much traffic. Sometimes you're just looking for that spot. If you can get out in the open, then you start, where's the fastest lap again? I got to catch the next guy. And so you look at it. It changes per year. The last couple of years, it seems to have, I'll say, peeled up a little bit in the feature, which changes a bunch, where if you back up 5-6 years ago, it just seemed to rubber up more and more and more, which gave you more lanes of racing. So it every year's a little different. Humidity changes that.
Somebody asked me, why is it different? And they came up with a theory. I blamed it on the go-karts and their tire prep. But then they said, what are you putting down? And I said, Mountain Dew. They said, what did you used to put down? I said, Pepsi. And they said, well, there's your answer. And because they said, think about it. Mountain Dew is citrus-based, and citrus is what's used to clean up. So they're thinking that maybe the citrus in the Mountain Dew attributed to the peeling up of the rubber. Well, we were going to try the Pepsi last year, and then, of course, with the pandemic, we weren't able to race. So we're going to try that this year and see if we can get back to it.
I heard the go-kart tire prep, and I heard humidity. One year we're in there, and it'll be 22 degrees and snowy. The next year it's 55, and it just, that changes so much of what you have in the track, opening the doors and so forth.
You only get one shot a year. I mean, in December, so you have a relatively small notebook. How hard is it to kind of go in there and just kind of guess the setup?
Yes and no. I mean, the Munchkin setup that we have, same that I believe to be on Tony's car or Mike's car, or it is what it is in there with subtle changes. We're not making radical spring changes or anything like that on that car year to year, like we might, if we're taking a car on a dirt track or to another asphalt, a big track. Yeah.
Well, Shawn, I have to ask you this. Outdoors, now these are the same cars that are on quarter miles, half miles, and even Lucas Oil 5/8 mile. But anyways, there you kind of have a second to look up and maybe get a signal from the pit crew. At Fort Wayne, do you have time to even look away from that steering wheel and the car ahead of you?
I remember seeing the crowd a couple times, but I'm not looking for anything but the next corner.
That always makes me laugh when you see crew members out there trying to tell their guy, you got a lot of room or something. You can't look up and see.
Yeah.
If the crowd starts getting wild, then you know something's going on and pay attention. But the next corner is the only thing you're really looking at.
Can you hear the crowd or the car coming up behind you? You're in this building, and it's appropriately called the Rumble, because it's a rumble in there. And what is that compared to like outdoors when you have, can probably hear the car a little bit better?
Some tracks, at the Rumble, when you have a full crowd there, you can hear, like he said, if something spectacular happens, the whole crowd gets loud. You can hear that. Raceway Park is another one that when you're on the front stretch there, it's just different.
Yeah.
The crowd, you go down that front stretch and you can see the bleachers full, you can hear them. It's not like your normal Saturday night track. There's a lot there.
You have to watch where you put yourself behind a car too if you're following someone, because if you're right behind their exhaust, it's coming straight in your helmet.
Yeah, you pay attention to if somebody's exhaust is coming out the left or the right hand side of their car, and how you approach them.
Mm-hmm. So 5 laps to go. Do you want to be in the lead or do you want to be in second place?
You want to lead.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only car on the lead lap.
Because we talked to the other week, who was it we were talking to?
I think it was Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, and he was talking about he actually preferred being in second place because he said in front you're so worried about is the guy going to go high or low that it might break your momentum a little bit.
Something my dad has taught me since we started racing. What's behind you is not important. Run your lap, be as fast as you can, and if you're the fastest car leading the race, they won't catch you.
So, quite a racing background. Dad and Grandpa both in the Bearfield Hall of Fame. And tell us, both of us, give us a brief biography on how you got started.
I actually got started, I had a go-kart since I was 5 and went to the track with my dad since, I don't know, as long as I can remember, a little kid. But I got started in racing where I went to do hand lettering on a car. And the car owner was a friend of my dad's from years before, and he and I got talking. The next year we came out with our own car, and it just started from there.
What kind of car was that?
That was a street stock,
Okay.
asphalt street stock. And then after doing that for a few years, my dad said, well, let's change this. Let's go modified racing. And we ran all the way up through the iCar series for a while. We now have a late model. And I've run sprint car with Tom Brewer, ran a couple other ones. I ran a dirt one for Dave Stensland one time. So we've been in a lot of different cars. And
Okay.
Sean, how about you, Sean?
The first race I ever did was a spectator actually in a street car. It was my only car, and I changed the rear end gear, and it was a 2-lap single elimination at Bearfield. And I was probably about 18, 19 years old, and that got me hooked. So I convinced one of my buddies to give me his Mustang, and we started racing enduros at New Paris. And we got through about 5 or 6 of those before Cory moved into the modifieds, and then Tom Lee came and helped me build a street stock, and then we started racing together.
yeah, so he went driving for the same car owner that got me into it just
Awesome.
years later.
So growing up racing around Fort Wayne and obviously a lot of history around Bearfield, how special is going to the Rumble every year?
I remember going to the Rumble when it was in the original Coliseum where the ice rink is, and watching those guys as a little kid, and then it just, whether I didn't go or it disappeared, or I don't remember all the history to it. I started coming back with Tom Brewer and Mike Fedorchak, and I remember Tony driving the car that he now owns, and it was the whole story, the gambling and all that kind of deal. And I come along to help my friends Mike and Tom, and here it was Tony driving the car, which was kind of an added bonus, kind of neat there. And my dad and I we got to race this thing. And when the opportunity came up, Mike Fedorchak actually got me the ride in Chuck Rencarell's car, which later we ended up buying the car. So the car that I'm in now was Chuck Rencarell's. It's number 4 of the serial number of Munchkins that are out there with, 1, 2, and 3 being Mike and Tony's setups.
And our historian, Bob Corson, tells me that is the only Munchkin that's been on its roof inside the Coliseum. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, the roof hit the fence.
Oh, okay.
They did have to flip me back up over onto 4 wheels.
Well, Kyle can relate to that because I think he has the record for the most flips, whether it be in a go-kart or a 600. But it's a different experience indoors.
Yeah, it was a couple times.
Well, the go-karts seem to be the most dangerous thing indoors as far as no cage, anything like that. When I flipped the midget, I remember them flipping me back over, and we talked to one of the tech guys. How's the car? Is it okay? Everything's working. And they got ready to push me off, and the right front tire was flat. And it pivoted on the right front, which rolled the bead off. We put it in the pits, blew the tire up, and it didn't hurt the car one bit. It's a durable car.
So again, we're here in Hoagland, Indiana, and we're with Cory Setzer and Shawn Bonar. This year, Cory going to do the ownership duties, Shawn going to do the driving duties. Shawn, you said you're going there to win. Toughest competition is going to be?
I'd probably say Tony Stewart.
And
Yeah,
Tony's coming with his 3-car stable with Rico. Poor Rico, I don't think he's made a competitive lap in there yet. He's had so many engine troubles.
Yeah.
But Rico Abreu and Mike Fedorczyk, so a 3-car team there. And I think the interest in the Rumble is at an all-time high. I look for a great number of midgets this year.
Yeah, and I believe you usually pit kind of right next to that whole team. You know, you got the 4 Munchkins right off as you pull off the track.
Well, it started out, like I said, went there friends with Mike, and he got me the ride when it was Chuck's, and we just kind of stayed there. I love our pit spot. We usually us, Tony, and Mike along that little section, and it gives us the opportunity to kind of sit up under the bleachers, and I think Tony likes getting out of the eye of the public. You know, sometimes when they were around, they would crowd so much you couldn't work on a car, and that just allowed the opportunity. You could be right there at the car, not have to leave, and it kept the crowd from being so much you had to have security rope them off and that.
Yeah, I just think it's neat. You know, like right there, it's just kind of like Team Munchkin, which is cool. But is there like a lot of? Because I mean, is there a lot of like bouncing ideas back and forth, between all 4 teams, or is it kind of you guys on your own and then those 3 are kind of on your own team?
I don't know about the ideas. Like I said, that track is, with the exception to rubber changing, the track is the same all the time. It doesn't change because we don't have this, 95 degrees and sunshine one day and cool the next and cloudy like you do at an outdoor track. But helping each other. All the time, whether it's a tool or, hey, we broke this, do you got one of these parts? Because they are all the same kind of car. I might have something in my pit box that works on Mike's car or Tony's or vice versa kind of thing. So it's been very helpful in that way that, and now we have Rico's car, so we've hit all 4 of them kind of in there.
Well, we're going to wrap this up here, and I think the burning question is, we said 56 days away, and I know Kyle posted something on social media a couple of weeks ago, are you ready? And we talked to so many guys like Randy Burroughs and teams like that they don't really start working on them till like weeks before. Have you guys started on the car?
We have. There was a lot of crash damage that was done to it the last time I ran it, and I started to get it out last year. When the Rumble got canceled, I just kind of put a cover over it, and we went back to the other cars that we were going to run for, Little 500 and some stock car stuff. So I called up Shawn, kind of explained to him, I need if he wants to drive it kind of deal. So he and I met up there and started tearing into it. Found the crash damage was a little more substantial than I even thought. Matter of fact, I just picked up the whole new front end sub-assembly from Mike Fedorczyk earlier that he had to rebuild for me. So we're excited. We're going to work on it this weekend. I imagine in the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll start it up and make sure the engine and everything is good, and then we can start working on driver prep and stocking the toolbox.
Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing this team at the Rumble in Fort Wayne, presented by Jason Dietz Trailer Sales, December 17th and 18th. Get your tickets. Kyle, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, thanks Cory, thanks Shawn for letting us be in the shop again tonight, and only, like you said, 56 days away, so tickets on sale here November 8th, and we will see you all at December 17th and 18th.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.